Brother lads, welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is the latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. Arsenal have held positive talks on Bruno Guimaraes and they are confident they can get the deal done this summer. Now, we are told that Arsenal are looking for a curtain raiser, a standard raiser in midfield rather than attack. And according to Team News and Ticks, together with Charles Watts, they can report and they can confirm that Arsenal are really confident a deal will be struck between Newcastle and them for Bruno Guimaraes. There's a lot to talk about Bruno Guimaraes. We'll be diving into that story. Arsenal are also monitoring Martin Zubimendi. The interest in the player continues, but also there's another name that Arsenal have added to their wish list in terms of a midfielder, and that is Manuel Ugarte. Now, I wanted Manuel Ugarte last summer when he was moving to PSG. Obviously, Chelsea and PSG were very much interested in Ugarte, but if eventually ends up at PSG. He's not played a lot of minutes in that PSG side under the manager there. So probably this could be one summer where we see Manuel Ugarte make another switch. So Arsenal are keeping their eyes very open on Manuel Ugarte and the number 6 situation. And of course, we're going to be talking about Michael Olise, the perfect backup for Bukayo Saka, or probably and potentially one of the players who could sign for Arsenal and make that huge change and huge impact on the team right away. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. I want your thoughts on Michael Olise, and I want your thoughts on that 100 million release clause for Bruno Guimaraes, because Arsenal think if the release clause is payable in 3 installments, like it's being said, then they can get the deal done. So would you rather Arsenal go for Guimaraes at 100 million, or would you rather Arsenal go for someone like Manuel Ugarte? He's gonna cost you around 70, around 65 million, in my opinion. But again, he's still a quality player, and he's still one of the best number 6 players. Again, you're gonna have below the age of 25. So talk to me in the comment box below. Let's get into it. Let's start off with the big story from Team News and Ticks, confirming that Arsenal's pursuit of Bruno Guimaraes is still ongoing, and he says, I was told within the last couple of days that there has been some positive conversations. I'm not saying it is done or anywhere close to getting done, but the club have a feeling that is positive, and they have a very, very, very positive feeling on it. It is what I was told. That is according to Team News and Text. It's a very interesting story because it comes in from a very interesting and reliable journalist, and it comes in from a very reliable guy who has been reliable on transfers for quite some time, and I think he's looking to make a breakthrough this summer as it continues to give us some of the good journalism out there. So Team News says positive conversations. It is not done. It is not close, but the team has held some positive conversations around the player. Now, of course, we know that Mikel Arteta has been a fan. Edu has been a fan too of the player, but his signing has always eluded Arsenal. I mean, before signing for Lyon, we were there. After signing for Lyon, we were there. Before signing for Newcastle, we were there. And now after signing for Newcastle, we are still there. So we've always wanted this guy, but we just can't get a grip. We just can't get to, find that right timing and strike. Maybe this is the right timing for Arsenal to go for Bruno Guimaraes. Now, I was reading actually, a piece on him by the Premier League, and they were regarding him as one of the best all-round midfielders in the Premier League last season. His tackles are insane, but you cannot believe this. He has scored 4 goals and assisted 6 times, in the previous campaign. And he's played alongside a couple of midfielders that have been very, very unstable. Sandro Tonali at the beginning of the season, then he gets a ban. Then he's played alongside the likes of Joe Willock, who have not been very consistent as well. And then, he's played with some guy from the under-19s. So when you look at Bruno Guimaraes, he's been the heartbeat of Newcastle. And he has been, the main guy in that midfield. And we were told in January 2022 that Newcastle had signed him as a pillar of their project. They wanted to build around him. They wanted to do whatever they could, around this guy. And maybe this is not going to happen, right? Because that release clause actually puts power out of their hands. So let's talk about the release clause, and let's talk about why I think Arsenal are very confident this deal can happen and this deal will happen. So in his current contract, Bruno Guimaraes has a release clause of £100 million. I mean, £100 million, that's big money. But Arsenal think that that is a doable deal, and this is a doable deal because the £100 million will be spread across 3 installments. That means that Arsenal will be paying 33.33 million. So 33.33 million. That is around. That is 33 million. 300,000 and 3,000, pounds on, across the 3 installments. I don't think that is actually a bad deal. Let's consider this. If Arsenal were to negotiate with Newcastle, right, which is still a very big possibility, by the way, if Arsenal went to negotiate with Newcastle, Arsenal would be required to pay around 35 million upfront, and maybe another, 30 on the second installment. For example, if we're going to buy him for 80 million. So if Arsenal look at this as a lucrative opportunity, if we look at this as a good opportunity, right, this is money that can be paid starting June 10th to June the 24th, because his release clause in his current contract is available for June, between June 1st and June 24th. So if Arsenal can pay this money between June 10th and June 24th, it means that we will have paid that money in a new financial year. And that means that when it comes to FFP and when it comes to the profit and sustainability rules, we will be on the right-hand side. We'll be on the positive side of FFP. So it's a very, very complicated issue here because Arsenal don't want to pay 100 million. Newcastle don't want to sell. So the only way you get him is by triggering that release clause. What makes it lucrative for Arsenal is that the release clause is spread out in 3 installments. So if the club want to get him, they can spread out these installments between maybe June, maybe August, and maybe December or January next year. It depends on the negotiation and it depends on what Newcastle want. I still think Newcastle will try to do whatever they can to stop us from signing him. I still think that Newcastle will do whatever there is in their power to keep him, but I don't think he stays at Newcastle. I think he will move to another club. Premier League football is a priority to him as a player, but also UEFA Champions League. They have Newcastle are not playing in Champions League, but they're also not playing in Europe anywhere. The win for Man United in the FA Cup, which was fabulous, means that Newcastle don't play anywhere in the Champions League, in Europe. Chelsea dropped to the UEFA Conference League. Man United go to the UEFA Europa League. Arsenal don't play in the Community Shield next year. Like, there's been a lot of changes, regarding that, right? So Bruno Guimaraes, in my opinion, I don't think he stays at Newcastle. PSG are there; they're interested. Couple of other clubs, including Man City, we are told, are interested. So let's wait and see. But Arsenal have held positive talks with, over Newcastle's, Newcastle's Bruno Guimaraes, and there is still optimism. Now, the other player we've got to talk about when it comes to Arsenal looking for a number 6 is Manuel Ugarte. We're going to talk about Martin Zubimendi, but let's first talk about Manuel Ugarte. Manuel Ugarte is a Uruguayan international playing, for PSG at the moment. Obviously, last summer, he signed from. Did he sign for Sporting Lisbon or from Benfica? He came from Portugal to go to France to Paris Saint-Germain, and I think Chelsea were very keen. I think he went from either it's FC Porto, I think it's FC Porto or Benfica, because I don't remember him at Sporting Lisbon. So I don't remember Manuel Ugarte at Sporting Lisbon. So he came from FC Porto or Benfica, and then he's at PSG now. Now, the thinking behind the new project for PSG is just like what Arsenal have done. They want to sign young players that have, resale value, but also players that can be part of the project they're building to win them, maybe sustainable trophies, but also to take them across a sustainable period of time. And that's why they're getting rid of the Kylian Mbappes who are earning ridiculous wages and ridiculous monies. They're getting rid of the Messis and the Neymars as well. So when you think about Manuel Ugarte, this season he's not played a lot of minutes, and that means that if PSG are to sell, they're actually going to sell him at a far cheaper price than than they would want or than they signed him for. Because last summer they got him for around 75 million. I don't think it will significantly drop. If any other club is going to sign him this summer, it's going to be between 60 and 70. It's going to be around there because he's still under contract. He's still a very good player and still a very, very massive talent. So I still see him leave PSG. And I was quite surprised that Arsenal were not interested in him last summer. But of course, then at the end of the summer, we found out that Mikel Arteta was interested in signing Declan Rice and Declan Rice alone. So Manuel Ugarte, why do I like him and what does he do? When you think about Thomas Partey and when you think about Bruno Guimaraes, there is a big difference between those two players. Both of them are very good defensive midfielders. You can give them credit for that, but they're significantly different. Bruno Guimaraes is an all-round midfielder. Thomas Partey is not an all-round midfielder. Thomas Partey is a specialized defensive midfielder, number 6, one of the best you can get on his best day. When you think about Partey and when you look at Thomas Partey playing football for Arsenal, these are the things you will see, and these are the qualities you're going to find. A player who remains central a lot of the time. He plays his football lots of the time centrally. So you're not going to find him, shifting to the right-hand side only or shifting to the left-hand side only. He's got that ability to stay central. Of course, that means that he can easily move over to the right-hand side when his presence is needed. And he can also quickly move over to the left-hand side when his presence is needed. When you look at Declan Rice, he's more of a one-sided player and he doesn't love to stay central. Of course, that comes with a lot of discipline. You have seen Rodri and what he does for Man City. We have seen players like Moises Caicedo. We have seen players like Alexander Sombilong. We have seen players like, Sergi Busquets. It comes with experience and it comes with discipline. But to instill it in a player like Declan Rice, I don't think Mikel Arteta wishes to do that. That's why he decided to go for a number 6. Bruno Guimaraes is not far away from Declan Rice. He's actually closer to Declan Rice as compared to Thomas Partey. I think Partey's role is a role of self-sacrifice. It's a role of self-sabotage for the happiness of others. You win the ball back, you drive it a few meters, and you release it for Odegaard, Rice, and Kai Havertz, the players who've got a much better technical ability than you have got. That is Manuel Ugarte, and that is what he does. Now, I'm not saying he is at the level of Guimaraes, because Guimaraes has played in the French Ligue 1, where Ugarte is failing to get minutes at PSG, and he's also played. Guimaraes has also played in the Premier League, where of course Manuel Ugarte has zero experience. But if Arsenal don't get Guimaraes, Manuel Ugarte will be a big shout. He will be a big signing if Arsenal can get him in. He's a quality player. The question is he a ceiling raiser? Is he a curtain? He can be a curtain raiser, but is he a ceiling raiser? Right? That's where the problem is. That's where the question is, right? Arsenal are currently looking at a ceiling raiser. Is Manuel Ugarte a ceiling raiser? Questions have to be asked. Now, Martin Zubimendi obviously is the other player that Arsenal are still looking at if this Guimaraes deal doesn't happen. And I'm told that Martin Zubimendi is waiting for Xabi Alonso to cross over to Real Madrid, and then he will join Real Madrid. So he wants to play under Xabi Alonso, not under Xavi. Of course, Xavi has been really much interested in Zubimendi, and also not under Mikel Arteta. So however much Mikel Arteta loves the player, the deal might not happen. But for me, with Zubimendi, I like him. I think he's a quality player. Very, very good in that defensive role. I think he's more of a baby Busquets, like we've already said. But for the Premier League, I would take Martin Zubimendi as my third choice or fourth choice. I would actually go Guimaraes, João Neves, Manuel Ugarte, and then I might go for your Martin Zubimendi. I like him as well. Make no mistake. Now Arsenal are back for Michael Olise, and that makes the pool of clubs interested in Michael Olise a little bit bigger now. We are told that Arsenal is leading that race because of UEFA Champions League football, because Chelsea and Man United are the two clubs that are also very much interested. Man United feel they will get Michael Olise. He's got a release clause around 60 million, 65 million pounds. I think Arsenal should just trigger that release clause. If we cannot negotiate with Palace to get that deal done, just trigger that release clause. He's a quality player. You know, Michael Olise this season has had 17 games. He's played 17 games and he's had over 14 goal contributions. He's such a different player to what we have at Arsenal. He's such a very, very good different player. And if Arsenal are not willing to splash the 80 million, the 90 million on Rafa Leao, Kavicha Kvaratskhelia and Rodrigo, we'd rather go for Michael Olise. He's such a quality player. But talk to me in the comment box below, because there's a lot of stories to dive into and we will be together as we run through them.